Hey guys, I'm Grace Torie, and you're listening to That Girl, the podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in because the new episode is starting now. Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Grace Torie, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. I have a feeling today's episode is going to be shorter than usual because I am just tired. I am so exhausted. I prepared some content for this episode, but it was also kind of hard to find some stuff for it, like find some stories, so it may not be as long as usual, so I'm apologizing for that ahead of time. Before we jump in, I guess we'll do some life updates. As I mentioned, I'm tired. It's been a really big week. It was my second week of work. I'm starting to get up earlier, so I'm getting more used to it, but I'm also really tired because I didn't really sleep in either day this week. Like, I guess I slept in more today than yesterday, but today's Sunday. But not really. The dogs got me up pretty early. Yesterday was my nephew's first birthday party, so that was really fun. It was really good weather. Food was really good. Overall, 10 out of 10. Today we went up to Cincinnati for a couple of hours, and now we're back down here, and that's pretty much everything. I do have one thing that I need to rant about, and I'm gonna rant about it to you guys. What the heck is going on with Instagram? Ever since Facebook bought it, it's been really bad, but these past probably couple of months, it's seriously gone downhill. I noticed yesterday I posted a picture on my Instagram, and then I also posted a picture on my personal, and it got like no engagement. And I'm not saying that to sound like, ew, no one liked my pictures, da, 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 da. Like, obviously not. It's more of like a, what the heck is going on with the algorithm, because I know it's not just me. Like, I've talked to multiple people about it, people on the podcast, people on personal, like friends that have noticed the same thing, and likes have gone from like the hundreds to like 20 likes. I don't know, and I don't obviously do anything for the likes, and that's why I still post on there consistently, and it's not about that, but it definitely is like disheartening when you go from that, or at least having someone on the planet acknowledge it, to getting literally like no acknowledgement whatsoever. And I don't know why Instagram would do, or why Facebook, I guess, like would do that and just ruin Instagram, because it was one of those, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And now I hate it, honestly. Like, it sucks. And like TikTok is better, but it's still like, like, I don't know, the algorithm is just not it. Honestly, the algorithm on YouTube is the only one that really I've been vibing with right now. But even then, like, the algorithm for shorts is so much better than longer videos. I don't know, algorithms have just been really one thing that I hate this week, and maybe I'll dive into them more and crack the code a little bit more, because it's something you have to kind of relearn every so often because they change them so much. But at the end of the day, Instagram is at the top of my list for something that I'm so angry about, because it's not even about the likes. It's about wanting to share, like on my personal one, it's about like wanting to share my life with my friends, and they can't even see it because our feeds are so flooded with ads and reels from accounts we don't follow. Like, what the frick? And even if you go on the accounts we're following tab, it's hard to find. It's not that much better. It's just shitty. Like, it's not a good time, and I'm so mad at Instagram. But I've loved Instagram for so long, and I'm so mad. That's just a little rant over. Had to get it off my chest because no one else really understands. And even if you don't understand, I really appreciate you letting me rant for a second. And I think that's all of my life updates. It's been pretty warm today. Hopefully it stays warm. I haven't checked the weather for this week. We went from like 40 degrees to 75. Literally yesterday I brought a change of clothes because the weather went up like 30 degrees in the time that I was there. But yeah, we're gonna jump right in. So if you didn't see from the title, today we are going to be talking about worst costumes, stories, just like something that someone wore for a costume that didn't end well, anything like that. Like, bizarre costumes is the theme, specifically on Halloween. I thought this would be a fun idea, and I'm hoping that as the podcast grows, I'll get like more and more submissions, and so it'll become more and more fun. But this year I did end up finding quite a few on Google, and so I will go ahead and read those to you. I think I'm gonna do the shorter ones. There's like some that are in tweets. I'll read those first, and then I'll read the longer ones. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. So this one says, I dressed up as a dancer one year and someone on my block told me to try harder next year. And she skipped that house every year since. I don't know if she still goes trick-or-treating because she's definitely an adult. But I get it. Like, this is one thing that I hate. Don't ever tell someone they need to try harder on their Halloween costume because maybe they can't afford it. Maybe they didn't have time because they have kids or they have a lot going on. Like, I don't know. It's when people like hate on other people's costumes. It really bothers me because it's really a time for people to be creative. And just because they're not as creative as you, or they don't have the funds that you do, or they don't have, you know, the time to make something like you do, doesn't mean that they aren't just as excited or anything. Like, I don't know. That's something that really bothers me and I can't tell you why. So yeah, I hate that for you. My friends and I were going as the Black Eyed Peas and I didn't know who they were, so I dressed up as a pea with a black eye. I have questions. I have questions about this because how did you not know which one you were going to be? Like, did they just assume you'd be Fergie and like no one coordinated after that? Or maybe like they just didn't know that like maybe she told them like, yeah, I'm gonna be a Black Eyed Pea, and then she showed them her costume and they were like, we're not gonna tell her because this is funnier. I don't know. I have questions about this, but either way, kind of comedy. Forgot to get a costume for a Halloween party, so I just put a piece of tape on my shirt that said dad bod. I won best costume. I wouldn't, like, I'm not criticizing them, but they have a sad face after I won best costume. Like, why enter the contest if you knew, you know, like, don't be sad about it. All bodies are beautiful is what I'm saying. Like, yes, but also don't be sad about it. Like, why did you enter if you were gonna be sad? You know what I'm saying? What? R.I.P. Back in 1987, my mom was Medusa for Halloween. She met my dad that night and they went on a date the next day, except my dad didn't recognize her as a blonde. She spent most of the day explaining that she didn't actually have snakes for hair. This is another time when I have to question the male species. What are the tactics behind this? What was the strategy? Because he had to know, right? Right? Went dressed as the corpse bride to a Halloween party, painted myself blue. The body paint wouldn't come off, so I looked like a Smurf for almost a week. This reminds me of the time that we accidentally dyed part of my horse blue for one of our regional competitions. That was like a huge deal. I was like 10, so I didn't care that much. I was not 10. I was probably like 15. But yeah, I love the commitment. I don't think anyone, like, everyone's gonna assume you dressed up for Halloween. I don't think they're gonna be like, oh man, she's blue. I admire you. I admire this level of commitment and hard work. I went to a Halloween party in college and ran into my ex with his new girlfriend. His new girlfriend and I were both dressed in the exact same peacock costume. He said, I guess I've always liked peacocks. R.I.P. I would be so upset. I put so much work into my costumes that if I did, like, this is actually possibly my worst nightmare. Like, actually. That's gonna be a no from me. A kid came to my door a few years back wearing a shirt full of small cereal boxes with knives sticking out of the sides of the boxes. I asked him what he was supposed to be and he replied, are you stupid or something? I'm a serial killer. I put this in because it's kind of punny, but at the same time, that's kind of scary that he was such a jerk and he was dressed as a serial killer, you know? That gives me, bad. No, I don't like that. But it is a funny little pun, so had to keep it. I was dressed up as a fortune teller at a college party. This guy comes up to me and asked me to read his palm. I told him he'd get drunk and have a good time. He came back an hour later and told me I was the real deal and fell over a table. I love that for you. You're really, I mean, that was a good angle to work. I'm glad this worked out well. Not for the guy because he fell over the table, but I'm glad that worked out well for you. One year I dressed as a flapper girl from the 20s and a coworker dressed in a 70s leisure suit and the entire office thought I was a prostitute and he was my pimp. The question is the coworker like a superior? Are you on the same level? Like, are you friends? I need more context. Kind of funny, but kind of not at the same time. I could see how this would be the worst Halloween costume or like there's a malfunction, you know? like how it fits into the category. Obviously there's not a malfunction. There was like socially, but not with the costume. I'm talking too much. Okay. To get to the house where a Halloween party was one year, you had to park at the grocery store and walk across the street. A friend of mine had to dress up as Moses and parted the road every time someone arrived. I love the commitment. I hope that he actually got to have some good times and go inside after. It is funny though. It is funny that he was that committed. I was the class clown and thought it would be funny to come to school dressed as our teacher for Halloween. I showed up early and sat at the teacher's desk. Then the teacher comes in dressed as me and sat at my desk. I guess he overheard my plan. He definitely overheard your plan, but like, I like it. Well played. Well played. A teacher who has a sense of humor. I had a kid come to my door later than all the other kids. He dressed all in red. He didn't say trick or treat. All he said was, "I'm your period. Sorry, I'm late." This had to be like a kid who is like in the 8th grade and just found out what a period is. But either way, it's really fun. It's funny. Like, come on, guys. It's funny. It's a period joke. That's funny. It looks like we're already on to the longer ones. As a child, I dressed as a witch, complete with fake plastic white nose. The elastic that held the nose around my head broke, but my dad said to just stick it on and it would hold. It did, for a while. Then I rang a doorbell, and when the lady answered, I sneezed, and my fake witch nose came flying off and hit her. I'm mortified. That, I mean, as a little kid, I could see how that would be mortifying, but I promise you, she probably remembers it, but she probably thought it was cute or funny. Like, you're good. You're all good. When I was 15, I went out with a group of friends to a Halloween party. There was this guy I kind of liked, but being a teenager, I was embarrassed to admit it. He had dressed as the Crow with white makeup all over his face. I was something generic that didn't involve makeup. We flirted and wound up making out in the backseat on the way to the party. When we got there, someone kept looking at me, asking what I was supposed to be, kind of confused. I didn't get it until I went to the bathroom and saw in the mirror that all around my mouth and chin were completely white. I went and found the guy and saw that he had awesome face paint, except for this big circle around his mouth that was totally bare. There's no way anyone who saw the two of us together didn't get exactly how that happened. That was pretty embarrassing. Girly, Miss Thing. It's definitely funny now, and it's definitely something that if you're not married, whoever you end up marrying will probably think is really funny and make fun of you. Like, it's not as bad as you think. I think everyone has some sort of Halloween story about being like a teenager. I have Halloween stories. I don't think any of them are like bad. I think they're just like, yeah, no, I've been broken up with on Halloween twice, so that was fun. I'm trying to think. I mean, like, I made a whole costume one time, and then whoever, like, the guy I was dating at the time, like, after I spent like hundreds of dollars on this costume, was like, yeah, sorry, I can't go out. My mom said no, even though he was a full adult, so that was fun. I had really fun my senior year Halloween, junior year Halloween, senior year. I think that was probably the best one. Was that my, yeah, no, that was, yeah, I dressed up as a mermaid. But yeah, no malfunctions, but what I'm saying is no worries. We all have crazy Halloween stories, I promise. I dressed up as Dolly Parton when I was in 4th grade. I stuffed a bunch of my dad's socks into my mom's bra to create the boobs I didn't have yet. The costume was awesome, until I was sitting in class and started smelling something gross. Turns out, one of our cats had gotten into my dad's sock drawer and peed on at least one of the socks I was using. I took the sock out and evened my chest up, but I was still so embarrassed. Dang cats. That's awful. This gives me the ick. I would need to shower immediately. I'm actually low-key a germaphobe, if you didn't know that about me. Like, I get so upset over stuff like that. So I would have like called my mom and been like, I need to come home, I need to shower, and I also would have been mortified. So I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, like, genuinely. I'm glad the costume was awesome though. Sophomore year of college, a couple of buddies and I dressed up like Average Joes versus Purple Cobras from the movie Dodgeball. Haven't seen it, but I'm assuming you were dodgeball players. It was lame, but it was cheap. Unfortunately, it was also cold outside, and I ended up wearing full-length compression pants. And then in parentheses, he said, NBA players make it look boss. I made it look like a lumpy sack of potatoes. At some point throughout the night, someone gave me a king-size pack of M&Ms. More lumps. I opened them, but didn't finish them. Without pockets, I decided to stick them in my compression shorts against my bare butt. A little foreshadowing here, this is a terrible idea. Many drinks later, I ended up going back with some girl to her dorm room. We immediately hit the sheets. I pulled my pants down and realized that my, you know, if you have kids around, was dead on arrival. I leave my pants on and play it off like I'm too tired. I write it off, roll over, and pass out. I wake up to some girl I vaguely remember being with screaming at me, "Get out of my room. Where is it? Get out of my room. You went to the bathroom." I'm trying to make this PG, in my bed. I took her word for it and headed for the door. I went to the bathroom to clean up the best I could. When I peeled down the compression pants, I found a pack of M&Ms that had been liquefied by my butt. Funny thing, when I was like a junior, I think, my friend and I were going to a new frat, and it was one of the bigger frats, like top tier, so we were like, oh my gosh, we made it. And we started at our favorite frat where like we knew everybody, and they were giving out Jello shots in like little cups. So I put the Jello shot in my back pocket because I always do this, which I didn't anticipate getting a driver. We usually walk to the other frat. I don't know, I'm dumb. So I put the Jello shot in my back pocket because I was gonna save it for the next frat or whenever I wanted it, because I didn't want it at that time because, again, I'm dumb. So we get in the driver's car, because when you like call a frat, you call like the numbers, and one of the younger guys usually picks you up and drives you to the party, and that's like their job for the night. Call the driver, and I remember being like, oh my gosh, he's really cute, cool. And when I was like, I'm gonna play it off. So I get out of the car, I'm in the front seat with him, and I like make it nice and slow. I'm wearing this really cute mini skirt, and then I'm wearing a cute crop top, whatever. And my friends are like, he was so staring at your butt. That's so, oh my god, like, oh my god, you need to follow him on Instagram. You got his name, da da da. Turns out that the Jello shot had exploded in my back pocket when I sat down and got all over his car. He had a really nice car with like tan seats too. So yeah, that's if that story doesn't describe who I am as a person, I really don't know what does. Don't feel bad about the M&Ms though. At least she didn't ruin her really nice car or make her have to get her seats cleaned. For a costume in college, I needed glasses to tie together. Being lazy and in a rush, I grabbed a pair from the drugstore without paying any attention to the strength of the prescription. I needed nerdy, and they were thick and did the job perfectly. I get housed and leave the glasses on all night. Housed? I think he meant hosed. I don't know. I think he meant he gets drunk. I think. For the next 4 days, I had a splitting headache, and my eyes felt like someone had run over them. I thought I was roofied, but it was all because they spent hours straining under a prescription meant for a nearly blind person. Do not mess around with real glasses. Yeah, I could have told you that. I wear my old prescriptions because my new ones broke, and it gives me a headache, which reminds me I need to go get my new ones fixed. So yeah, right there with you. Ooh, this is the last one. We're only at 20 minutes, so my apologies. But anyway, this monstrosity was the culmination about 4 nights of work while watching the Red Sox win the World Series in 2007. To say I was drunk when I made it is a massive understatement. The nights making this consisted of drinking about 12 beers and remembering 10 in that it was almost Halloween and I should finish my Hermes costume. And then hastily constructing a cardboard body and taping purple hand towels bought in bulk from a sketchy home goods store in Queens. Pretty sure the spray pen I used for the mouth was found when we moved into the house I was renting with my dirtbag friends that we found out to be a drug den. Sometimes it's amazing I'm still alive. And he posted a picture. If you're on anything where you can see this, like YouTube or Spotify, yeah, that's what we're working with here. So sorry it got so dark. I didn't realize it was this dark. The lighting was just going down because the sun's going down. But that's the last reading story I have. Thank you so much for watching this, even though it's a little bit shorter. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know if you like the shorter episodes. Let me know if you like longer episodes. I do not mind to do either. Obviously this week I did a shorter one. It's just because I'm so tired, exhausted, and I just couldn't find enough stories to make this long enough, but I still wanted to do it because you guys were really excited about it on Instagram. But yeah, if you want to join the community, have more of a say in like the episodes I'm posting, anything like that, don't forget to follow, subscribe, friend, depending on what platform you're on. Also follow me on Instagram, even though I am currently hating it. I'm still posting on there because I don't know, I'll never get over Instagram. It's like that toxic relationship that you just can't get over. So Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and then all platforms are where I am. You can find all the links down below. Thank you so much for listening to this and bearing with me, even though I'm a little bit more low energy compared to usual. Also, don't forget to leave a rating or review. If you leave your Instagram on there, I will shout you out. It means the absolute world. You don't understand how much it means. Like, I kid you not. I love you. I love this podcast. That's why I make the time to do it. It means the world, and so do you guys. I hope that you have a great week if you're watching this on Sunday night. I hope you have a great night as well. If you're watching this any other time, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, and night, and I will see you on Wednesday. All right, bye guys.